Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus aka the Mad Dog and we're back with another video. It's not the most breaking of news, but in the last couple of months Marvel got the rights to both Alien and Predator as a result of Fox being bought by Disney. What this means is that Dark Horse can no longer print any of the comics that they used to own the rights to, and all of those have now reverted over to Marvel. It's similar to what happened in recent years with both Conan the Barbarian and the Star Wars license. And all that's really manifested of this so far is a few omnibus listings and a few nice variant covers with some of the most popular characters in the Marvel universe. But this got me wondering because I love nothing more than a really good, even if it is a little bit stupid, kind of crossover. In recent years we've seen the Power Rangers teaming up with the Justice League, you've had Batman mixing with the Ninja Turtles, and although I think it's unlikely, the acquisition of both Predator and Aliens I think opens the door for some really interesting crossovers with the characters that they've already got. So straight off the bat, in case you couldn't guess, this isn't any kind of official confirmation, this is just one dumb fan giving their top 10 wish list of the characters that they want to see crossover with both Alien and Predator. Coming in at number 10 I've got Iron Man. In particular I'd really like to see him cross over with Predator because obviously he is the one that's more technological between himself and Alien, and the storytelling potential is obvious to me and hopefully it is to everybody else as well. But for the start of it, Tony Stark would be without his armour and it's probably going to be a quest where he's trying to hide all the while he's using his resources and his memory and all of his intelligence that he's built up over his years as being a superhero. And then in maybe the last issue he can finally get an Iron Man suit and he can just completely turn the tables on Predator. Because I think if he had the armour from the beginning it'd pretty much be an easy fight, but I think it's more interesting for him to fight Predator than it would be Alien. You never know, I could actually go for a super team up where you have Alien and Predator teaming up with both Iron Man and War Machine. It would just be complete carnage. You could have the Predator turning invisible so that Iron Man has to use different kind of radar and stuff like that. Maybe Predator doesn't show up on anything, and maybe the acid from Alien can burn through iron so it just makes it more difficult for Tony. I just think having a relentless killer like Predator or even Alien would be such a good foil for Tony Stark and the fact that he's always trying to outsmart people. Number 9, and this is where the cheating starts early, I've got an MCU-wide crossover event. I've made it no secret, I like my crossover events and the dumber they are the better. You want to do an event where it's possible that near enough every Avenger can be a Skrull? Go for it, I'll enjoy it. You want to do a crossover where the X-Men are fighting the Avengers? Sure thing, I'll support that. So I think it'd be great if for one summer there was a company-wide crossover event where Alien and Predator just wreak havoc throughout the planet. Maybe you could even do it cool and have like some kind of three-way war going on, so you've got the Aliens who don't like the Predators and both of them don't like any of the superheroes in the Marvel comic universe. But realistically, considering the list that I've got anyway, I think this would be the easiest way to integrate this because you could have all these tie-ins where all the different characters and all the different teams are finding different ways to overcome this threat. And I think now that we live in a world that the Watchmen characters have become assimilated with the DC universe, this would be very easy to do, and I don't think it'd be too much of a jump in the shark moment that it probably would have been if it happened about 10 or so years ago. Number 8, I've got the Guardians of the Galaxy vs Alien. This one pretty much writes itself and I think it's the one that could most likely happen if they were to ever do a crossover with the actual properties that they own. I'd also like Nova to be incorporated in some way with this, and it could be like a team effort. You could maybe even do it in sort of like an Elseworlds tale, so that slowly one by one the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy are getting picked off by Alien, and then it's just a final showdown maybe between someone like Drax or Groot or something like that. But if they aren't afraid to maybe push the limits with what they want to do, even if it does mean that it's not going to be in continuity or anything like that, I think one of the most exciting combinations that can happen is Aliens and Guardians of the Galaxy. Like realistically it'd have to be Alien because it can't be Predator because Drax is already invisible, but I could see this being a really good test for the Guardians of the Galaxy and also Alien, because how would they manipulate the tactics so that they could, you know, separate this team from one another and pick them off one by one? I just think there's a lot of possibilities that could really come from this. Number 7, and I think this is the dumbest one I'm going to choose, but it's Blade vs Alien. Now yeah, you might laugh and think it's stupid, but are you telling me that if Blade vs Alien got announced, you aren't going to buy it? Admittedly as well, I wrote this as a fan fiction when I was a kid because I really liked Blade because obviously Wesley Snipes was like the coolest thing that I'd ever seen at that point, and I really like the original Alien, and I think Alien should always be more of a horror figure more than like a target for some kind of action film. And when you think about Blade, he was always associated as a horror character, and considering that he's so cool and so badass and he can't ever really be messed with, I think this would be really interesting to see. Like it could start as a result of vampires dying and Blade having no idea why it's happening, and then all of a sudden he realises that Alien is the one that's going around killing them. Look, I told you this was going to sound stupid, I'm not expecting this to win an Eisner Award. Number 6, I've got Kraven the Hunter vs Predator. I think this would be cool because it'd also open the door for a team up between Kraven the Hunter and Spider-Man. Again, similar to what I said about Iron Man, you could even have it that maybe Spider-Man's fighting Alien and then you've got Kraven the Hunter going after Predator, and then they realise that their two paths sort of align and they should work together. But obviously Kraven the Hunter's always about trying to get the most elusive prey, and there'd be no more elusive prey than Predator. But Predator sees all of it as a game and he wants to do nothing other than kill. Now I know there's probably going to be some kind of like extended universe lore where Predator Predator's got some other kind of mission that he embarks on, and there's a reason why he wants to kill, and maybe there's some kind of methodology in the way that he kills. I've never really delved into that. For me, Predator is the one from the first film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that's the Predator that I'm bringing into all these suggestions in the same way that I'm pretty much bringing the Alien from Ridley Scott's film. I see this going in a similar way as Battle Beast vs Frag when it was in Invincible, because you've got two people that are just so devoted to the quest that they'll do whatever they have to get there. So that's why I'm putting Kraven the Hunter vs Predator on this list. Now before we break into this top 10, hopefully you're enjoying this video, and if you are, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button down below and click the bell notification so that you never miss a video. And whilst you're here, without cheating, I want you to comment below what you think my number 1 pick is going to be. Number 5, we've got The Man Without Fear eats Daredevil. I think there's just so much potential with both of them, because with Predator, obviously he can turn invisible. Does that affect like Matt's sonar and stuff like that, and how would he go about fighting an invisible foe? But with Alien, it brings that sense of fear with it, that sense of horror and that sense of dread. You could make up some reason that his sonar's not working in the way that it normally would, and all of a sudden he's in a disadvantaged position. Well, he's always been disadvantaged, but you know what I mean. Because here with Alien and Predator, you've got two characters that are meant to instill fear in anyone that comes across them. So how would the Man Without Fear survive against them? That's a question I would really like answered, and I think the best way to do it is to throw him into the ring with either of these characters. Number 4, I've got Wolverine vs Predator. Yeah, I do also think he'd go up well against Alien. Maybe I'd even like to see an Alien vs Predator vs Wolverine, but Wolverine is relentless and he's always regenerating, so I'd love to see how he'd go up against either one of these. I think on paper Predator would be the more exciting choice because obviously they've got a similar moveset and stuff like that, but it would also be cool to see Wolverine use his feral senses to hunt down something like Alien, whereas at the same time Alien would always be trying to get the slip on Wolverine. When it comes to these team ups, thinking of the dynamic is always more exciting than just putting two names together, so I've tried to think of the most exciting combinations and the storytelling potential that could happen as a result of that. And if I saw Wolverine and Predator together in a title, I know that that would be an all-out action fest, but at the same time, if I saw Wolverine and Alien, I know that that would be a more tense and suspenseful read. Number 3, it's Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. From the list that I got, this would be the most jarring team up that I can think of, and it'd be similar to when you've got stuff like Punisher and Archie teaming up. But for a while I thought about involving Hulk on this list, and that would just be cool seeing him punch all these aliens and stuff like that, but then I was like, the Fantastic Four has the thing, and also they've got the Human Torch, you've got Mr. Fantastic, you've got the Invisible Woman, so just for a second try and imagine how cool it'd be if they went up against an entire army of aliens. And I would keep it to the core 4, I wouldn't really have the Future Foundation or anything like that involved. You could send them on another space exploration and then all of a sudden they realise that their ship's been inhabited by these aliens, and they know they can't bring it back to Earth, but all of a sudden they realise that they're completely overwhelmed by this army that's invaded. I could just see this being really cool because you've got this team that's always family friendly and really light-hearted, and then you've got aliens which are just there to kill. My number 2 pick is a weird one because 10 years ago this would have just been a Dark Horse crossover, but I've got Conan the Barbarian vs Predator. I feel like I've said this for a lot of these selections, but this one does actually write itself. Conan the Barbarian does not care if he dies in a fight as long as he gives it his all. Predator wants nothing more than to conquer and kill anything in its way. In the words of the Joker, that is the truest example of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. And admittedly, yeah, I'd like to see this as a movie. I know Arnold's getting old now, but could you imagine if he reprised his role as Conan just so he could fight a Predator one last time? You know, if that was a movie, you'd tell everyone that it sounds stupid, but you would secretly be there at midnight to watch it. And for me, it changes nothing just because of the fact that it's in a comic, and I think that now Marvel owns the rights to multiple other properties that weren't originally Marvel comics. It's pretty much the equivalent of a fanfiction dream when you think about all the characters that they've got at their disposal. But when Marvel got the rights to Conan, I thought that it was pretty much going to be separate from the Marvel universe and there wasn't really going to be any interaction and stuff like that. We also had some crossover covers which are very reminiscent of the ones that we've seen for Alien and Predator, but all of a sudden you had Conan the Barbarian showing up in the Savage Avengers, and that worked a lot better than probably anybody expected it to do. So why not try your luck again and have Conan facing off against Predator? Before we get into my number 1 pick, I'm going to go through some honourable mentions. These are probably the dumbest of the dumb. Firstly, I've got Aliens vs Darth Vader. Yeah, Marvel owns the rights to Star Wars, so why not do this? It's set in space, Alien obviously is set in space for the most part, so why not have Darth Vader crash land on a planet just full of aliens, full of eggs, and he just has to whale his way through with a lightsaber? Because it's pretty much 12-year-old me that wrote this list, I'd also be really interested in seeing General Grievous or Darth Maul going up against either Alien or Predator. I've also put Doctor Strange here as an honourable mention because with someone like Predator who can also like change the way that the world perceives him by going invisible, it would be really cool to see how Doctor Doctor Strange would handle that. Obviously, if either Alien or Predator get even close to Doctor Strange, he's probably going to get killed. It'd still just be cool to see the elements and the mystical side of the Marvel Universe go up against this brute, destructive force. I've also got Thor, and I put in brackets, maybe even all of Asgard, going up against aliens. The reason why this is an honourable mention and not making it onto this list is because I do feel like it'd be pretty straightforward in what would happen. You can maybe say that about some of the other ones, but for me personally it doesn't excite me as some of the other ones, but it would still be cool seeing Thor just throw his hammer at an alien. You could also incorporate Loki into it, and you could have him trying to deceive Thor whilst this is all going on. But as you can guess from this list, any of these characters excite me if it's followed by Alien or Predator. And my last honourable mention is the dumbest of the dumb, but obviously Marvel is now owned by Disney, so that means that realistically they could get Disney characters involved in their comics. And hear me out, are you telling me that if you saw a title that was Predator versus Mulan, you aren't going to pick that up? You are lying to yourself if that's the case, because honestly, that is the coolest fight that I can think of. Obviously besides number one. But as of yet, I can't think of any examples of the Disney characters crossing into a Marvel comic, so I can't really see this one happening at all, considering the fact that I can't really see any of these happening, and it's likely that Alien and Predator might be kept separately from the Marvel Universe. But still, it's Mulan, and I'd love nothing more than to see her try to make a man out of Predator. My number one pick, and I forgot to say this at the beginning because obviously it's 2020 and this is the internet, but this is my own personal list, and that is why number one is going to be none other than the Punisher versus Predator. Yeah, I do realise that a lot of these picks have been Predator heavy, that's just because that's the way I saw it going in my head, but if you've got a Punisher that's on the more torturous side of the scale, this could be really cool, because Punisher is normally used to going up against criminals and he can always see the pain that he's inflicted on someone, but how would that work for him if he can't see that? What if he did go up against Predator and he really had met his match? In an earlier draft of this list, I did also have Cosmic Ghost Rider going up against Alien, and it'd be cool with that too. I've just kind of incorporated that into my number one pick anyway. It's my list, I can do what I want. But when I first heard that Predator and Alien were coming across to Marvel, I was thinking, how would the Punisher deal with that? He was the character that I thought of above all others at first, and it's the one that sticks with me most now. There was just so much potential that could come with this, like I said, whether he's just normal Frank Castle or Cosmic Ghost Rider. But if Marvel decides to take the risk by integrating these two characters into their comic universe, they would be missing a trick by not crossing them over with the Punisher. But that's my list, even though I could have probably done a top 20 for this. But do want to do more of these top 10 lists that don't take themselves too seriously, they're fun and admittedly a little bit dumb. If you've got any suggestions for top 10 lists that you want to see, even if it isn't something that many other channels have covered, just leave it in the comment section below and I'll get around to it. As well, I think this is a really interesting discussion point that not many people have brought up. So if you could see any Marvel character cross over with either Alien or Predator, who are you going to have? And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't like this video, why did you get this far? Please subscribe if you haven't done so already and click the bell notification so that you never miss a video, and make sure you follow my social media links. I'm half tempted to do some kind of poll on my story to see what you guys think about this integration between Alien and Predator and Marvel, and if you do want to support the channel, it is greatly appreciated. Also, I'll ask is that you treat yourself to a book, maybe one of the Alien or Predator omnibuses that's recently been announced, and just please use one of the Amazon affiliate links down below. I can't see any of your details, it doesn't increase the price, all it means is that eventually someone is going to come into this channel and hopefully I'll be able to buy a new camera. But that's the video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Share it with any friends that might be interested. I haven't really got anything left to say except for to stay safe, stay reading the best books that you can find, and stay mad all you dogs. Woof woof, see you at the next video.